I don't believe they messed with Rimuru's beloved elves. The arrival of Mjormilles in Tempest had a lot more cut content, whether it was Gobemon losing his army in battles, or Mjormilles and Rimuru discussing the future of Tempest, or even why Rimuru didn't recommend him as a minister, but wants him to prove himself capable of becoming one for everyone. Also, Milim's appearance had a quite few things cut, from details that only Rimuru noticed, to explanations about the difference between dragons and true dragons, and even how dragons came into existence. In addition, we have more scenes inside the labyrinth that were cut from the anime, with it finally being complete in Rimuru's eyes. A lot was left out on the episode, and today we are going to talk about all of it. But before that, subscribe to the channel to support my work and leave a like to support the video. One interesting thing about Milim's appearance is that as soon as she arrived, Rimuru wondered how she was there, since this was the 100th floor of a newly designed dungeon that wasn't even open to the public yet. Additionally, it seems Raphael detected her earlier, but didn't report it because she didn't pose as a threat, thus following Rimuru's orders inflexibly, which made him a bit irritated. And of course, this was the classic interaction between Rimuru and Raphael. While there are moments when Rimuru completely ignores Raphael, there are also moments when Raphael, out of spite, follows orders to the letter and doesn't inform Rimuru about what is happening. Another detail is that Rimuru notices Milim clothes, which cover more than her old ones. This is her new wardrobe, that was designed for her by Shuna and the Goblinas, with them creating outfits for Milim. Another highlight here is the friendship between Rimuru and Milim. Although they had their little quarrel, they have known each other for a long time and get along very well, which Rimuru perceives just by looking at how they interact. And then when Rimuru asked if Milim was there with Frey or Chiron's permission, he kind of poked himself, as, like Milim, he had handed all responsibilities to his subordinates and had to justify himself in his mind to avoid his self-judgment. On the other hand, Milim fled away from her country to avoid studying with Frey and refused to let Rimuru send her back, wanting to stay to help with Labyrinth. And here, talking about the dragons she will bring to Tempest, we learn the difference between a true dragon and a dragon after Rimuru placed them on the same level. The draconic species in this world are monsters created from the broken elements of Veldanava's body. Veldanava that is the Star Dragon King and the most powerful true dragon. They are material species, while true dragons is a spiritual species. The true dragons are not simple monsters, like the normal dragons. In reality, the dragons are more like dinosaurs than true dragons. In the history, there were only 4 true dragons, 3 that still exist and 1 that died, that being Veldanava, the older brother of Veldora and the father of Milim. Before his death, Veldanava created the baby dragon that he gave to Milim, and from the death of the baby dragon, the monsters known as dragons were created, with these monsters being created by his essence. So basically, the essence of the baby dragon created the dragon species. And among the dragon monsters, the most powerful of them are the archdragons, who became dragon lords, this being the pinnacle of the dragons, of course without counting true dragons. After that, we have a scene with Beretta showing Rimuru the equipment she looted from that Claymon golem. She had intended to give it to him earlier, but ended up not doing so, and now she suggests it be used as content for treasure chests in the labyrinth, which was a brilliant idea. Additionally, there would be some good scenes of them continuing the construction of the labyrinth, tinkering with the floors, the monsters, thinking of things to do, and how to solve problems they might face in the future. But these are things I don't think need to be mentioned, as if you want to see them, I suggest reading the novel, because these parts aren't very relevant. Of course, they are cool, I enjoy reading them, but I will not talk about them in the video. Now, what was relevant, however, is that while inspecting the floors, Rimuru had the idea to place safe zones every 5 levels, so that adventurers can use these areas and spend more money in the labyrinth, getting a safe place and of course wasting money. So after a thorough review and inspection of the labyrinth, they completed the 100th floor and are confident in their labyrinth. Obviously the dungeon is extremely difficult, something that Rimuru is ignoring, causing Raphael to become exasperated with him. But Rimuru would only discover this very later. here. For now, except for the areas that will be usable for the labyrinth, from the 7th one to the 94th floor, nothing is being done, as they are being saved for future use, but the rest is being used, and it was all for the labyrinth. Now, the arrival of Mjormilles and his entourage and Tempest had a few more things that were cut from the anime. Firstly, Rimuru and Rimuru had a meeting where it's decided that Rimuru would start educating Tempest citizens to ensure they are ready to handle the people arriving soon. Here we also learned that the reason Rimuru wants Molly to prove himself useful before taking on the role of Minister of Finance is so that other executives will accept him. Although Rimuru's recommendation would be enough for no one to object, he doesn't want to do this and prefers to let things follow their natural course. Additionally, with Mjormilles, a non-citizen of Tempest assuming an official position will serve as publicity for outsiders as well. After that, when presenting Mjormilles his new mansion, we learn that this is the standard of living in Tempest, making Mjormilles certain that Tempest will definitely become a successful spot in the future. After all, if even commoners receive this treatment, everyone will love it, especially because currently many adventurers are unemployed since the numbers of monsters has decreased significantly. In Tempest, they can use the labyrinth to hunt and gain his life, and have quality inns to stay in. Basically, Tempest will be a paradise for these adventurers. Moreover, with Veldora in the labyrinth, monsters will continue to be generated constantly, and thus more materials will be keeping collected for the hunts, and that will stimulate the market. This way, raw materials can be harvested without destroying biomes, and thus Tempest will definitely become an economic and commercial hub. And well, after that we have the scene of Gobemon, with some things that were cut. To protect Mjormilles, Gobemon lost his arm, and of course exposed his identity to Mjormilles instead of defending him from the shadows, as was his mission. Although he saved Mjormilles, Gobemon sees his mission as a failure because Mjormilles noticed him. Additionally, he needed help dealing with the basilisks that attacked Mjormilles, which embarrassed him even more. And of course, he lost his arm, so for him it's totally a failure. With that, Rimuru points out that this is the difference between him and Gobta, which is why Gobta became the goblin captain. Gobemon tries to do everything alone and can't work well with others. After explaining his shortcomings and giving him a mini scolding, Rimuru heals his army and orders him to stay with Mjormilles for a while longer to learn about teamwork with the others there. And of course, he gave him the katana he had been using until recently, as it was the promise. Thus we arrive at the audience with the leaders of various races, skipping to the really relevant part, which is Abiru. Here, besides Rimuru praises for Gabiru, Rimuru was kind of indirectly hinting to Abiru to accept him back into the family, which Abiru noticed and played along with. After that, Rimuru motioned for Gabiru to leave and talk to his father in private. Above them, when the Dryads visited, Rimuru mentioned how Zegan and Apito have been doing a great job taking care of them, already planting the seeds for their introductions as relevant characters soon. Here, the Dryads kind of begged Rimuru to let them serve Ramirez, before he simply told them to go talk to the fairy herself. And when they met Ramirez, they become a sort of trainee 2, 3 and 4. They started acting literally as a trainee, falling over and praising Ramirez without limits, making the fairy happier than ever with all the attention and adoration. And with the idea of them moving to the labyrinth, the idea of creating a forest village on the 9th floor emerged, as this would be a safe village. After that we have the situation with bovoids and echinoids, but let us skip this as the anime adapted well. Then we rated the commotion of the three brothers, and the anime adapted this part very well as well, with the only difference that I can see is that the three brothers were quite loyal to Shion after losing to her, with they started calling her big sister, teacher and even master. And of course in the future this would only get worse, but I won't talk about that now. And finally we have the encounter with the Elves. The part about them suffering from the battle between the echinoids and bovoids was well adapted, and the kidnapping of Elves was in the anime as well, and the ones who left the forest was also mentioned. However, a deeper explanation here is that the Elves who left the forest in search for work mostly did it because they can try to help the situation of the forest elves that was suffering from the war between the bulls and the horses. Currently, the The elves, unlike the elves of the past who had empires and all, are nomads without a home, scattered all over the world. In fact, you can see elves in practically every country. They don't have a land. Siron is the only place ruled by elves, but it's not the home for all of them. It's definitely the biggest country of elves, but many of them aren't in Siron. And with this situation, Rimuru, who loves elves, invites them to stay in the city on the 9th floor, being next to the trends, and of course in a safe place to them. And that was fully for good reasons, and not because Rimuru loved elves too much. He totally have a reason, and it is not just because they are elves. Seriously, it's not because they are elves. He would totally make this for everyone. It's not because they are elves, just because Rimuru loves elves. This is not it, okay? This is not. Now, regarding the meeting with Tengus, the first part of this history should have already been shown in the anime, but I think they postponed it to adapt everything together in a single episode. So I hope the next episode explains everything, but if you don't want to wait, click this video on the channel to watch about all of it. But that is it for today guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Subscribe the channel to support my work and leave a like to support the video. Now, bye bye.